I was never one of those people addicted to social media. I would watch TikTok videos occasionally, laugh at the funny lip syncs, spend some time watching random trends, but I was never the type to participate in challenges. Until that day. The mirror challenge appeared on my feed like any other trend. A video showed a girl in her room, lights off, facing the mirror, staring at it in a strange way, as if she was waiting for something. The caption read, "Are you ready to see your true face?" I was curious, but at the same time, something in that caption made me hesitate. The caption also said the filter that accompanied the video was the key to making the mirror show what it really sees, but no one explained what that meant. There was something unsettling about the way she looked at the mirror, as if she was challenging her own reflection. And at the same time, I had this feeling that I should try it. I'm not the type to be afraid of things like that. I've always had a rational mind, and everything I saw on the internet was just entertainment, right? I was at a point in life where I needed something to fill the void. Work, daily tasks, everything was becoming monotonous. I needed something new to step out of my comfort zone. So, without thinking much, I grabbed my phone, downloaded the filter, and jumped on the bandwagon. The tutorial for using the filter was simple. I turned off the lights in my room, adjusted the camera to focus on the mirror in the corner of the wall, and with the phone screen activating the filter, I started recording. When I looked at myself in the reflection, something felt off. It wasn't something I could immediately identify, but I felt it. The reflection in the mirror wasn't mimicking me perfectly. It seemed slower, as if it was trying to wait for some movement from me before reacting. I laughed, thinking it was just the effect of the filter. Maybe I set the camera wrong, I thought to myself, turning off the recording and checking the video. When I played the recording back, I saw something I hadn't noticed before, a faint, muffled voice in the background, almost like a whisper. I rolled my eyes, thinking it was just some audio embedded in the filter. But something bothered me, a chill running down my spine that I couldn't explain. The next day, I received notifications from friends and even strangers commenting on my video. They were amazed. Some thought my reflection looked different or creepy. But what really made me frown was one comment: "You shouldn't have done this. Don't look at the mirror at night." The comment was written by an unknown profile, no pictures, just a string of numbers and letters, like a code. I had that feeling it was just another internet prank, a random comment, but deep down, something told me not to ignore it. I decided to delete the video, but it was too late. The TikTok algorithm, as always, had already spread the recording to thousands of people. In the following days, more and more videos started to appear with the same hashtag mirror challenge. I wasn't alone in this strange phenomenon anymore. But instead of feeling relieved to see others doing the same challenge, I started to feel uncomfortable. It no longer felt like a simple viral trend. Something was wrong. Many of the videos had something peculiar, something I couldn't identify, but it was messing with my mind. And I started to wonder, what was really happening with this filter? Why were all these people, just like me, being drawn to it? I should have stopped right there. I know that now. But somehow, that feeling of curiosity and the pressure of not being left behind made me keep going. Something more was coming, something I couldn't fully understand, but I was about to find out. In the following days, things started to get strange. I couldn't stop thinking about the challenge. Part of me wanted to ignore what was happening, but at the same time, a growing sense of discomfort pushed me to investigate further. The reflection in the mirror, the whispers in the background of the video, the mysterious comment, none of it was leaving my mind. I went through my TikTok video history to see if I could find anything else about the mirror challenge, but, incredibly, The filter I had used had simply vanished. It was no longer in the list of popular filters, and the hashtag mirror challenge was gradually being removed from posts. I tried searching again, hoping to find more people who had done the challenge, but everything was disappearing. However, the feeling that something was wrong was only growing stronger. The worst part was I couldn't explain why. I decided to visit the forum where people used to discuss these challenges. There, I found a recent post with a blurry image of a girl in front of a mirror. The title read, "Don't do the challenge. They're coming for you." A chill ran down my spine when I read those words, but my curiosity wouldn't let me stop. When I opened the post, I found a desperate message from someone who claimed to have done the challenge weeks ago. They said that since then, their life had been in constant disorder. Disappearances of loved ones, objects in their house being moved without explanation, and, most terrifying of all, the reflection in the mirror no longer being theirs, but something different. With every word I read, a heavier weight formed in my chest. The reflection in the mirror seemed, somehow, to become an entity in itself. The idea that the mirror could be a portal to something dark began to make sense. People disappearing. Reflections acting on their own. How could I ignore that? I should have stopped right there. But somehow, something inside me still wanted to understand what was happening. That night, as I was getting ready for bed, I felt an odd urge to look into the mirror. I knew I shouldn't. I knew it was dangerous, but inexplicably, I couldn't resist. When I entered my room and looked at the mirror, my heart stopped for a moment. The reflection wasn't mimicking me correctly. It was as if it was waiting for something. And then, an indescribable sense of terror took over me. My reflection remained still for a second, then moved with a disturbing slowness. What happened next froze me in place. I turned quickly to leave the room, but for a brief moment, I saw a face, different. It wasn't my face, but it seemed to be emerging from inside the mirror, distorted, as if it was trying to escape. I spun the key and slammed the door shut, the sound of the doorframe echoing in my mind. But in my head, I still saw the face I had seen. Something was moving there, something that shouldn't exist. That night was the worst of all. I tried to sleep, but the noises in my house were incessant. Footsteps. Whispers. I heard the sound of the mirror moving, as if someone was trying to get out of it. I knew this wasn't possible. It wasn't real. But deep down, the sensation of being watched became overwhelming. When I looked into the mirror one last time, I saw something that still haunts me to this day. My reflection, once again, didn't immediately mimic me. It was waiting. I wanted to run far away, get away from it all. But at the same time, I knew I couldn't. Something was calling me, and I didn't know whether to run or if, somehow, I was destined to continue this nightmare. With each passing night, things grew more intense. That feeling of being watched never faded, and I could no longer distinguish if it was just my mind or if something was truly happening. I knew I should stop trying to understand what was behind the mirror challenge, but inexplicably, something inside me pushed me to continue. Maybe it was the fear that if I stopped, things would get worse. Or perhaps it was the feeling that something was about to happen, and I had to be ready to discover what it was. In the following days, strange occurrences intensified. I began to notice that I was no longer alone in the house. At night, I could hear soft footsteps coming from different rooms, but when I approached, everything went silent. It was as if someone was watching me, waiting for the right moment to act. I tried to rationalize, telling myself that it was just a reflection of my own fear, but deep down, I knew this wasn't normal. One night, while I was in my room, a strange sound coming from the mirror made me freeze. It was a low whisper, almost inaudible, but it seemed to come from within the mirror's surface, as though someone was trying to call me. I knew what that meant, but somehow I couldn't resist. I stepped closer to the mirror and, when I looked at my reflection, what I saw made my heart race. It was me, but it wasn't. My reflection stared at me with a terrifying intensity, its eyes locked on mine, as if it wanted to absorb me. I looked behind me, expecting to see some logical explanation, but there was nothing. Only the cold surface of the mirror, reflecting my horrified expression. I tried to step away, but an invisible force seemed to hold me in place. I couldn't move. Then something strange happened. My reflection started to smile. It wasn't a normal smile, but something twisted, evil, as though my reflection was delighting in my fear. My eyes widened, and panic took over. I wanted to scream, run, do anything to escape, but something inside me told me that if I ran, it wouldn't end there. I had to face it. I had to understand what was happening. Suddenly, my reflection moved faster than me, and as if it had a life of its own, it stepped forward. And then I saw it. A dark figure began to form in the corner of the mirror, a shadow that seemed to absorb all the light from the room. It slowly moved closer, as if calling to me, as if waiting for me to approach it. I didn't know what to do. My rational mind told me it wasn't real, but my instinct told me to run, to escape from it all. But I couldn't. Something was pulling me, something was pushing me towards that mirror. I could feel the presence of this dark entity drawing nearer, and deep down, I knew I couldn't escape anymore. The mirror had become a prison, a trap from which I couldn't get out. I was being drawn into that reflection, and with every step I took, I sank deeper into that nightmare. The moment my fingers touched the cold glass, something happened. The shadow of the reflection began to stretch, and as if I was being pulled inside of it, my vision began to darken. The last sound I heard was that of the glass breaking, but there was no pain. Only an absolute darkness that consumed me. When I woke up, I was in my room, but it wasn't the same room. The walls were covered in cracks, the air thick, as if something was suffocating the room. The mirror, which had once been on the wall, was now in front of me, shattered. But what terrified me wasn't the mirror itself, but the image that appeared reflected in it. It wasn't my face. It was the reflection of someone I had never seen before, yet somehow it knew me. It was smiling, and I knew, with a chilling certainty, that this was the entity behind everything. I tried to scream, but my voice was swallowed by the silence. I was trapped in that place, not knowing what would happen next, but I knew one thing: the mirror challenge had not ended. It had only just begun. Important notice. We would like to clarify that the story presented here is entirely fictional. All content was created solely for entertainment purposes, and any resemblance to actual events, people, or situations is purely coincidental. There is no intention to associate the narrative with real-life occurrences or challenges. The story was conceived for creative purposes and should not be interpreted as a true or factual account. Thank you for your understanding.